After the car accident, my foster brother thought I had lost my memory. He pointed at his good friend, Lucijo, and played a trick on me. This is your boyfriend. In my previous life, I exposed my foster brother's lie on the spot and still pestered him relentlessly. Eventually, I died a tragic death in the mental hospital where my foster brother secretly detained me. 3 years after my death, Lucijo, who was depressed and unhappy, committed suicide by slashing his wrists in front of my grave. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of the car accident. This time, I directly opened my arms towards Lucijo. Honey, give me a hug. My foster brother across from me accidentally crushed the medicine bowl in his hand, and the man in front of me had red eyes and hoarsely pulled me into his arms. Okay. 1. In the hospital ward. The smell of disinfectant was pungent. My foster brother, Eugenian, and his good friend, Lucijo, stood side by side in front of me. I shook my head, which felt like it was about to burst, and was dazed for a moment. The scene in front of me seemed extremely unreal. Where am I? Who am I? Eugenian thought I had lost my memory and was the first to point at Lucijo beside him, with a hint of amusement in his eyes. He explained, "You're my sister, Chinsini. This is your boyfriend, Lucijo." I looked at Lucijo in shock. The man's cold and handsome eyebrows were lowered, tinged with a bit of desolation. He deliberately avoided looking at me, but his gaze landed on me subtly. There was clearly a sense of forbearance, just like in the previous life. 2. In my previous life, I had a crush on my foster brother, Eugenian, for many years and pestered him until he couldn't bear it anymore. After the car accident, he thought I had lost my memory. In order to get rid of my entanglement, he deliberately said that Lucijo was my boyfriend. Actually, when I first woke up from the car accident, I did have a short-term memory loss, but soon, I returned to normal. Facing Eugenian's prank, I didn't think much of it. Instead, I stubbornly exposed Eugenian's lie on the spot, just to prove desperately that I hadn't lost my memory. I carefully tugged at the hem of Eugenian's clothes, and my eyes were wet with tears. Brother, I haven't lost my memory. I'm not lying. Eugenian had no choice but to hold me in his arms with a straight face, just like he did every time I cried in the past 5 years. I'm sorry, Shinshin. Brother made a mistake. I was overjoyed and quickly threw that episode to the back of my mind. I pestered Eugenian as usual. Since I was 16 years old, I had realized that I had unusual feelings for my foster brother. Every time he was in a relationship, I would deliberately ruin it. The book said it was due to possessiveness. I didn't comment. Eugenian also tacitly allowed my various out-of-line behaviors. Several times, when dealing with those girlfriends, he was the one secretly intervening. He indulged me in my wild acts and also let me pester him relentlessly. I was dead drunk and hugged Eugenian, asking for a kiss. He didn't push me away. Instead, he tensed his body and let me take what I wanted from him. At that time, I self-righteously thought that Eugenian also liked me. But I overlooked the most important thing. He had never admitted his feelings for me personally. I hugged Eugenian and kissed him for a long time until he suddenly woke up and disgustedly ordered me to get off. Eugenian touched his swollen lips and playfully raised the corner of his mouth. Chinsini, how can you like your own brother? You're really a pervert. I woke up like from a dream, as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over my head. My whole body felt stiff and unbearable. I really didn't. The voice of my explanation gradually weakened. The tone of my retort suddenly became high-pitched. You don't like me, huh? The disgust in his eyes stabbed my heart. I couldn't answer. Privately, I did like Eugenian. I was an orphan. Only my brother was good to me in the whole world. How could I not like him? Eugenian seemed to have spied on my secret and hated me even more. A pervert like you only deserves to be locked up in a mental hospital for a good reform. 3. My thoughts returned. I looked at Eugenian, who had a smile on the corner of his mouth. In shock, he was also looking up at me quietly, with undisguised amusement in his eyes. In an instant, goosebumps covered my body, and I couldn't help but shiver. My nails dug deep into the flesh, and the pain forced me to stay rational. I looked directly at Eugenian and replied word by word, I got it, brother. In this life, I don't want to have any more entanglements with him. Everything came to an end at the moment of my tragic death in the previous life. The days in the mental hospital were extremely difficult. Eugenian came to see me every 2 weeks. I really couldn't stand the days of being beaten and electrocuted every day, so I cried and begged him to let me out. I cried out with all my might, brother, I was wrong. I don't like you anymore. Every time. Eugenian just looked down at me coldly and spoke without any emotion. Chinsini, It seems like you're having another episode. As soon as the words fell, excruciating pain followed. I tried to contact everyone I knew, begging them to save me, but Eugenian had already made preparations. He kept my whereabouts a secret, and the news couldn't be passed on at all. In just half a year, I was tortured to death. After my death, Eugenian went crazy. He held my body and refused to let go. He said he regretted it. He said he liked me. He cried and repeated his awkwardness and fear over and over again. Falling in love with his foster sister would make others look at him with malicious eyes. At that time, my soul was standing aside, watching all this coldly. I just felt like vomiting. Even now, when I see Eugenian, I still feel physically nauseous. So, I turned my gaze to Lucijo beside me. I opened my arms towards him and coquettishly said, holding back my tears, "Honey, give me a hug." Clang. The sound of the porcelain shattering was particularly harsh in the hospital ward. I looked sideways slightly. Eugenian's palm was covered in blood, and the brown medicine juice mixed with the blood and flowed to the ground. It was extremely disgusting. He stood there, and the amusement in his eyes disappeared without a trace. What replaced it was endless anger. However, I didn't have the energy to care about him now. All my attention was on Lucijo, since that honey just now. Lucijo's eyes had quickly turned red. He stiffened his body and looked up at me in surprise. A mixture of confusion and excitement surged in his eyes, and finally condensed into a deep tremor. His lips moved, and his voice was hoarse. He took a few quick steps forward, hugged me tightly, and replied in a low voice by my ear, "Okay." Eugenian clenched his injured fist, and blood gushed out continuously. He coughed a few times, raised his injured left hand, and held it in front of me. The smell of blood made me frown. Lucijo quietly moved me aside and pulled his windbreaker to wrap me tightly. I stuck my head out of his arms, and then a warm palm covered my eyes. "Don't look, it's disgusting." After saying that, Lucijo stood in front of me and looked at Eugenian angrily. The disgust in his eyes was undisguised. "You clearly know that she's afraid of pain and blood. You're deliberately trying to disgust her, right?" A strange feeling welled up in my heart. I pushed away Lucijo's palm and looked up to carefully examine his pale face. His features were delicate, exactly the same as in my memory. Looking closely, he seemed more severe than before. In my memory, Lucijo had always been taciturn. This was the first time I had seen him accuse someone so mercilessly like today. Apparently, Eugenian also found it incredible. "It's none of your business." Eugenian rolled his eyes and shakily stretched his hand over, as if looking forward to my reaction. Sheen, I'm injured. If it were before, I would definitely be in a hurry to find ointment, applying it to Eugenian while shedding tears. But now, I shrank a little more into Lucijo's arms and looked at the dirty hand with disgust. "Brother, there are doctors and nurses outside. I don't know how to treat illnesses." I interrupted him irritably. "I'm sleepy. I want to go home." Out of the corner of my eye, I accidentally saw someone's upturned mouth, like a proud puppy wagging its tail. There was nothing seriously wrong with my body. The doctor said I could go home and recuperate. Lucijo refused to let me walk no matter what and insisted on carrying me out. Eugenian's face darkened, and he finally exploded at that moment. He tightly grasped my arm. Sheen, didn't you say you wanted to go home?" I pried his fingers off one by one, leaving a red mark on my skin. "Yeah. I'm going back to my boyfriend's home." "Is there something wrong with that, brother?" "Chinsini, don't regret it." Eugenian laughed self-deprecatingly and almost growled through gritted teeth. "Regret? I only regretted not seeing my own heart clearly earlier. I only regretted that in my previous life, I was like a fool, being played around by Eugenian." Lucijo carried me to the car and carefully fastened the seatbelt for me. He started the car, stepped on the gas hard, and sped away. Along the way, his palm covered my fist and never let go. When we got home, I felt uncomfortable all over and wanted to take a bath. Lucijo thoughtfully prepared the bath water. He took out an unopened bottle of essential oil from the locker. When opened, it was the jasmine scent I liked. Then, Lucijo opened the cloakroom and picked out a set of home clothes with tags from inside. Surprisingly, it fit my size perfectly. I was a bit puzzled. Lucijo scratched his head, and his face turned red to the roots of his ears. "I thought it suited you when I was shopping, so I bought it casually." Casually bought so many. I pointed behind him at the women's clothes that occupied most of the cloakroom. They were all new, and they were all from the brands I liked. Don't get me wrong, I I blinked at him, looking forward to what he would say next. Lucijo sighed. with an expression of "I'm not pretending anymore." What's wrong with buying clothes for my own girlfriend? Was this still the Lu Qizhou in my memory, who was so inferior and sensitive that he would blush when talking to me for one more sentence? In my previous life, until I died in the mental hospital, I didn't have much interaction with him, so much so that after my death, I only barely glimpsed Lu Qizhou's deep love for me. 6. In my previous life, my soul was always imprisoned in the apartment where I lived before. After realizing my special feelings for Yu Jianian, I moved out of the Yu family. After learning of my death, Lu Qizhou went to Yu Jianian alone to ask for an explanation. What kind of explanation could there be? The latter claimed that I had a serious illness and died of ineffective treatment. He didn't even have the right to check the truth. At night, Lu Qizhou easily cracked the password of the apartment door lock. I watched in surprise as he rushed in and stumbled into my room. When my soul floated over, I only saw his tall body curled up in a ball, lying on my bed. His back was shaking, and a large area of the pillow was wet with tears. I wanted to comfort Lu Qizhou, but I didn't know where to start, so I just sat by the bed and quietly watched him. Later, I couldn't help but reach out and touch the top of his fluffy hair. Unfortunately, I was just a ghost. I couldn't really touch Lu Qizhou. My palm passed through his hair. I stroked the back of his head as if coaxing a child. Lu Qizhou, don't cry anymore. If you cry anymore, I won't be able to resist kissing you. The delicate face under my palm trembled for a moment. Lu Qizhou suddenly opened his eyes, and big tears rolled down. Then he closed his eyes in despair again. Liar. The air fell silent. Only the low sobbing sound kept echoing in the room. 7. From that day on, Lu Qizhou moved into the apartment and accompanied my soul. Others laughed at him for being a fool. I also thought he was a fool, because Lu Qizhou always liked to talk to himself. He would share happy things with the air one moment and pour out his bad mood the next. I listened silently beside him, quietly watching his cold face covered with tears. Lu Qizhou got thinner day by day. I knew he was sick. There were always big boxes of medicine on the dining table. I advised him to live well. Unfortunately, it was useless. He couldn't hear me at all. We lived together day and night for a full 3 years, but we were like two lonely souls, separated by an insurmountable barrier. We couldn't touch, couldn't reach, and couldn't hear each other. The longer I stayed in the human world, the more transparent my soul became. I thought that before long, I would completely disappear from this world. Lu Qizhou still went out early and came back late every day. I couldn't leave the apartment and didn't know what he was busy with. Until the 3rd anniversary of my death, Lu Qizhou deliberately turned on the TV and tuned to the news channel. Before going out, he took a deep look in my direction. My eyebrows twitched. I always felt that something was about to happen. Soon, the TV station broadcast an emergency news dash. Yu Jianian, the head of the Yu family, died in a car accident. The incident was suspected to be due to personal grudges, and the perpetrator had fled. Currently, the police are making every effort to hunt down the perpetrator. It was Lu Qizhou. He was so stupid. I was extremely flustered. My soul generated huge energy and actually broke through the obstruction of the apartment. Following the guidance of some kind of energy, I floated to my grave. Lu Qizhou was hugging my tombstone, crying like a fool. Xin. I finally avenged you. There were several empty medicine bottles and empty beer cans at his feet. I was running around anxiously beside him. In the huge cemetery, there was not a single person, and no one noticed Lu Qizhou's abnormality. Lu Qizhou, I order you, don't die. Do you hear me? My almost hysterical roar briefly woke up his consciousness. Lu Qizhou took a deep look at me, and a satisfied smile spread across his face. You came to pick me up, right? As soon as the words fell, he used a dagger to resolutely cut the skin on his scar-covered wrist. Chinsini, if there is an afterlife, I will definitely bravely hold your hand. 8. Fortunately, God gave me a chance to be reborn. Looking at the handsome face so close at hand, my face turned red, and my eyes filled with tears. The appearance of Lu Qizhou before his death deeply stabbed my heart. I grimaced in pain. A warm palm gently stroked my face, slowly wiping away the tears from the corners of my eyes. Does the wound hurt again? The car accident wasn't serious, and I only had superficial injuries on my body. Compared to the injuries in my previous life, it was nothing. I didn't feel pain anymore. I don't want Lu Qizhou to know about my rebirth. I nodded and greedily savored Lu Qizhou's warmth. It hurts so much. It's killing me. Only a kiss can make it better. You're so delicate. Lu Qizhou licked his lips, and his black pupils sparkled. Just a kiss, is that enough? Before I could react, Someone held the back of my head, an overwhelming kiss came crashing in, it was as if he wanted to crush me completely. I was kissed so hard that I couldn't breathe. Just then, my phone rang inappropriately. It was Eugenian calling. I didn't want to answer it, but the other side seemed tireless and showed no sign of stopping. Impatiently, I tried to hang up the phone, but accidentally pressed the answer button. Sheen. Brother has thought about it, you'd better go home and live there. It's better to have an aunt taking care of you. A muffled groan accidentally escaped from the corner of my mouth. Eugenian must be crazy. Sheen, what are you doing? Answer me. Don't get distracted. I didn't have time to answer. My finger was held and used to end the call. Half an hour later, I was still clinging to Lucijo and couldn't get down. The sound of pounding on the door mixed with curses came from outside. Lucijo, who allowed you to touch her? 9. Eugenian is really noisy. I don't want to pay attention to him, but he doesn't seem to be planning to leave. I got down from Lucijo's body with a sullen face. He rubbed the top of my disheveled hair and smiled with his eyes and eyebrows curving. Be good, I'll go and drive him away. Lucijo opened the door with swollen lips. As soon as the door was opened a crack, Eugenian rushed in like a madman. His gloomy gaze swept back and forth over me. Finally, it landed on my neck, which was covered with red marks. How dare you touch her, Lucijo? How dare you touch her? Eugenian shouted, and with hatred in his fist, he slammed it in the direction behind him. She lost her memory. Don't you know that? This is taking advantage of her vulnerability. I let out a cry of surprise. I saw Lucijo turn his head aside and dodge the approaching fist. Is this still the Lucijo I know? Is he so agile? His moves were fierce, and every punch landed on the flesh. In just a few moves, he completely subdued Eugenian and threw him out the door. Get lost, stop pestering her. The door slammed shut, leaving me with only his gloomy back. When he turned around again, the tenderness on Lucijo's face returned as before. Were you scared? I was simply amazed. I was so stunned that I couldn't move. No, there's something wrong with Lucijo. Are you hiding something from me? Lucijo scratched his head and nodded shyly. Yeah, you said you liked it, so I secretly practiced. What? His slender fingers pointed to his waist and abdomen. Do I like abdominal muscles? When did I say that? I remembered, in my previous life, when I looked at that row of neatly arranged abdominal muscles every day but could only look and not touch, I did express my covetousness for them. No, how could Lucijo know that? I looked at the man in front of me suspiciously. Just in time, I met those eyes filled with a smile. I know that Loves Eating Pancakes is your alternate account. He's been observing me carefully enough. I did post some radical comments on certain types of videos with my alternate account, but don't I have any dignity, being exposed like this so straightforwardly? How can I use my naughty ideas on Lucijo in the future? Forget it. I gave in and rubbed my hands excitedly. I stared at Lucijo's firm abdominal muscles with great anticipation. Can I touch them? His handsome face quickly turned crimson. After a while, a response as soft as a mosquito's murmur came from above my head. Okay. 10. The next day, I propped myself up from his abdominal muscles. Lucijo's body was reddened by my weight. He was a well-behaved sleeper and hardly moved at all throughout the night. When I was a soul before, I shared the same bed with Lucijo for a full 3 years, but after turning back into a human, this was the first time I had lain together with him. Once the excitement wore off, a sense of shyness swept over me. I blushed and tried to run away, but he caught my ankle and pulled me back onto him. His thin lips touched my lips and rubbed playfully. Are you shy? You didn't look like this when you asked me to call you master last night. I pushed the person in front of me away with a tremble. I'm hungry. Lucijo squinted his eyes, but his fingers didn't stop moving. I quickly explained. I'm hungry in my stomach. Just then, my stomach growled twice appropriately. Lucijo retracted his hand a little disappointedly and looked at me leisurely. But here also says it's hungry. When we finished tidying up and came out of the room, the aunt had left after making lunch. The table was full of my favorite dishes. After lunch, Lucijo asked me, do you have any plans for today? I lost my memory and can't remember anything. I deliberately teased him. Tell me, how did we fall in love before? Lucijo's face turned red, and he shook his head proudly. You just liked to stay with me and never wanted to be apart. Then where did we usually like to go for fun? I don't know if it was my illusion, but Lucijo's face darkened, and a flash of sadness passed through his eyes. He fell into thought, as if recalling something from a long time ago. We liked to stay at home. Thinking of this morning, my waist still aches now. I definitely can't stay at home today. Lucijo, let's go to the home furnishings mall. The house is so cold and deserted everywhere. I don't like it. Lucijo doesn't like the hustle and bustle. There aren't many items in the house, and the decorations are all in cold tones. There's no trace of the warmth of daily life at all. I want to add my own color to this house, not just a few clothes in the cloakroom, but everything, because Lucijo is always worried about losing me. If I disappear for just a few seconds, he will immediately rush over to check on me. Only when he sees that I'm safe and sound will he heave a sigh of relief and hold me tightly in his arms. Shinshin, I thought I would never be able to find you again. There were tears in his eyes. And he breathed heavily. When I can't see you, I always feel like something is missing. So, I want to fill this void by occupying this territory. 11. In just one day, the house has completely changed. I placed my favorite plush toys on the bedside and the sofa. Lucijo said they were childish, but I caught him secretly squeezing the toys until they were out of shape. The gray beddings were replaced with sweet pink ones. The slippers were changed to cute rabbit-shaped ones. I also picked out a new set of pajamas for Lucijo, which was a couple style with mine. I also placed my favorite freshly cut flowers in the living room. It was a bunch of brightly blooming Chinese roses. They were orange-red, as beautiful as the warm winter sun. On the marble countertop of the bathroom, there were a pair of porcelain dolls with their faces pressed together. One was a boy, and the other was a girl. Lucijo insisted that the girl looked like me, with a round face and very cute. I insisted that the boy looked like him, a bit clumsy and very kissable. We refused to admit each other's words and wouldn't give in to each other. Finally, we unanimously decided to place the dolls beside the mirror. We would look at them in the mirror every day, until we were willing to admit that we looked like the porcelain dolls. After taking a shower, we snuggled up to each other and watched a movie on the sofa. Lucijo brought a fluffy blanket and wrapped me and him tightly in it. The movie was very touching. It told the story of a young couple who went from secretly loving each other to getting married. At the end of the story, the two people lived happily together with a little dog. It was a very warm scene, but suddenly I felt my nose sting. If one day I leave, what will happen to Lucijo? He is the most stubborn person. He will definitely be like in the previous life. No, I absolutely can't let him do something stupid again. I sniffled and solemnly held Lucijo's face in my hands. Chijo, let's get a cat, or a dog. A hint of alertness flashed between his eyebrows. Lucijo grabbed my wrist and squeezed it tightly in his palm. Why, you don't like small animals the most, do you? 12. Actually, I don't dislike small animals. It's just that the elders in the Yu family don't like them, so I can't like them either. That year, I begged Yu Jianian for a long time, and he reluctantly agreed to secretly bring a kitten back for me. But before the kitten reached my hands, it was discovered by my adoptive mother. She threw the kitten away. She scolded Yu Jianian for being obsessed with playthings and unworthy of being the heir, and said that he had disappointed her. She also locked me in a dark room to reflect on my mistakes. If I led Yu Jianian astray again, she would send me back to the welfare home. I didn't understand why a small kitten could bring such a big accusation against us, but I didn't dare to resist. After all, I really didn't want to be sent back to the welfare home. To appease my adoptive mother, I knelt on the ground and admitted my mistake, crying and vowing never to bring any small animals home again. Only then did my adoptive mother's stern expression finally soften. I was locked up for a whole week. When I came out, the kitten had already become a stray cat. I couldn't find it. Feeling sad, I wandered around the park alone. I accidentally saw Lucijo holding a large bowl of cat food and crouching on the ground to take care of the nearby stray cats, feeding them. The cold moonlight shone on him, as if casting a soft glow over him. This was a Lucijo I had never seen before. Lucijo's background was similar to mine. No, he actually had an even worse life than me. Lucijo was an illegitimate son who wasn't accepted. Back then, his father was drunk, and his mother took advantage of the situation and climbed into his father's bed at the right time, and that's how he was born. It can be said that Lucijo was the most embarrassing existence in the entire Lu family. No one looked up to him, no one treated him like a human being. Inferiority and gloom had always surrounded Lucijo. Only the stray cats and dogs in the park would gently rub against his trouser legs. I thought that with a kitten for company, if one day I left him again, with Lucijo's sense of responsibility, he would definitely not abandon the kitten. Of course, I won't let him know these thoughts of mine. I kissed his thin lips in front of me. With a child, the house will be livelier. The word child made Lucijo's eyes flicker. He opened and closed his lips, unable to say anything for a long time. Is that okay, Lu Qijo? In my previous life, I don't want to let you Jianian off so easily. But the Yu family is powerful, in case something happens to me. Lu Qijo, you can't do something stupid again. His inky black pupils held my figure for a long time. There was only the sound of each other's breathing in the silence around us. I felt guilty under his gaze and hung on his neck, urging him, is it okay? Okay, it's okay. 13. I had a nightmare. The dream was full of the scene of Lu Qijo lying in front of my grave, with his white cuff stained red with blood. When I struggled to wake up from the dream, the spot beside me was empty. Where was Lu Qijo? My heart tightened, and I didn't even have time to put on my shoes. I got out of bed barefoot to look for Lu Qijo. There was a strange sound coming from the rooftop. My heart sank, and I quickly ran upstairs. I threw the door open to the terrace. Qijo, you're awake. Lu Qijo was wearing an apron and gloves, and there was a thick gardening mat on the ground. He raised his head from a row of colorful blooming flowers and looked at me. Each one was my favorite. They were also the ones I had planted in the apartment before. After I was imprisoned in the mental hospital, those flowers had no one to take care of them. Lu Qijo tried his best but couldn't save them. Now, why was he planting flowers? Why didn't you put on your shoes? Lu Qijo frowned, took off his gloves, and got up to get my shoes for me. Then he brought a small bench and placed it beside him, motioning for me to sit down. Why did you suddenly think of planting flowers? His pale and slender fingers scooped up a handful of soil, buried it in the flower pot, compacted it, and poured a pot of water. The pink petals of the Chinese roses were covered with glistening water droplets, looking extremely delicate. When the terrace is full of flowers, I can take a lot of beautiful photos of you. That scene must be very beautiful. Lu Qijo, we will definitely have that day. 14. Lu Qijo and I adopted a small orange cat and a yellow and white dog. Lu Qijo has a gentle and unhurried personality, and he is indeed more suitable than me to take care of the two little guys. Of course, he also took the initiative to take on the housework. He is now busy running around every day. There is always a bright smile on his face. In the morning, he first waters the flowers, then takes care of the two furry children. After eating, he even pulls me to take the little guys for a walk. After taking a shower, Lu Qijo and I sat next to each other and watched TV series as usual. The two furry children lay at our feet, occasionally making contented purring sounds. It's so happy. The person I love the most is right by my side. I can kiss those soft lips just by turning my face. Just thinking about it makes me excited. The corners of my mouth couldn't help but turn up, and I couldn't hold it back. I want to kiss him. Wait a minute. What is Lu Qijo secretly happy about? Could it be that he found out my little thoughts? Damn it, I clearly hid it very well. His handsome face suddenly leaned in front of me, and he kissed me unexpectedly. Lu Qijo, Chinsini, I love you. 15. I thought we could spend more time together. Unexpectedly, the separation came so quickly. That day, when we came out of the supermarket, I suddenly wanted to drink milk tea, so I asked Lu Qijo to go to the garage to drive the car first. He had just left for a short while. A black Porsche Panamera stopped in front of me. I recognized it. This was Yu Jianyan's car. I turned around and ran. Two bodyguards in black suits got out of the car and grabbed me, stuffing me into the car. The driver stepped on the gas pedal hard, and the car roared away. The partition in the middle slowly rose, separating the back seat of the car into a closed space. Yu Jianyan, are you crazy? Let me go back. Xin, it took me so much effort to find you. How could I let you go? His tall body loomed over me. I was forced into a corner. When I was about to hit the car door panel, a large hand reached out and pulled me into his arms. His cold fingers wandered over my waist through my clothes. Yu Jianyan must be crazy. What was he going to do? Did he want to lock me up in a mental hospital again? Absolutely not. The fear of being imprisoned in my previous life crept all over my body. I was so panicked that I couldn't stop shaking all over. I curled up into a ball, with my hands behind my back, and secretly sent a distress signal to Lu Qijo with my phone. But just as I unlocked my phone, Yu Jianyan pressed me firmly into the corner, reached out his long arm, and without hesitation, snatched the phone from my hand. I lunged forward to grab it. Yu Jianyan, what are you doing? Yu Jianyan raised his hand to stop me and opened the car window with the other hand. Then, in my desperate gaze, he threw the phone out. No. After doing all this, Yu Jianyan hugged me tightly with satisfaction and turned his head to kiss the top of my hair. Xin, you're really disobedient. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let you leave my side. it won't happen again in the future. We'll be together forever, okay? 16, no, let me go. I struggled desperately and slapped Eugenian hard, but instead of getting angry, he pressed me even closer. He seemed crazy, holding me and talking nonsense nonstop. Shin, don't deceive yourself. You like me, you were with that guy surnamed Lu just to make me angry because I used him to tease you, right? You're angry that I clearly knew your feelings but pretended not to. Shin, brother was wrong. No, I'm not your brother. Let's start over, okay? Eugenian was really crazy, but, Eugenian, I've never liked you, it's impossible, you're lying again. During the time I was locked up in the mental hospital, I reflected every day. What exactly was my feeling for Eugenian? When I saw him with other women, I would feel lost and jealous. I would even use all means to drive those women away. Not only that, but I would always silently follow Eugenian's gaze. I almost greedily hoped that he would always pay attention to me. But all these were not of my own free will, it was the long-term guidance Eugenian had given me. He indulged my willfulness and deliberately gave me a little when my heart was wavering. When I was doubting and consuming myself internally, he made moves towards me that went beyond the boundaries of a brother. He never refuted nor accepted my overtures. This was clearly a long-planned case of PUA. From beginning to end, it was Eugenian who had feelings for me that went beyond those of a brother. He refused to admit it and was tortured by the possessiveness deep in his heart. That's why he wanted to blame everything on me. Eugenian was a coward, how could I possibly like him? I pushed him away with all my strength and loudly exposed his most shameful secret word by word. Eugenian, it's really perverted to fall in love with your adopted sister. After a lifetime, I finally managed to return those words to him exactly as they were. Eugenian, who was pressing on me, paused for a moment, and his eyes quickly turned gloomy. His palm pulled hard, the clothes on my body tore apart with a sound. A chill invaded my shoulders, and the devil in front of me woke up. Eugenian grabbed my neck and pressed his fingertips down inch by inch. Yes, I love you. Every second you were with that guy surnamed Lu, I wished I could catch you back. You'll never be able to leave me. 17, just like in the previous life, Eugenian wanted to imprison me again, but I wouldn't just sit there and wait for my doom. There was a sharp pain on my lips, and the smell of blood spread freely in my mouth. I took out the hidden switchblade from my pocket and stabbed it hard into the chest of the person in front of me. The next second, he grabbed my wrist and slowly turned the handle of the knife in a circle. Are you satisfied now? Huh, I should have guessed it earlier. Eugenian was a complete lunatic. The car suddenly slowed down, and the tail sound caused by the emergency brake almost pierced my eardrums. Due to inertia, my body quickly leaned forward. Eugenian was quick-eyed and quick-handed and pulled me into his arms. Probably because he pulled the wound, he let out a muffled groan and growled at the driver in the front seat. Are you fucking trying to kill yourself, master? There's a car in front trying to force me to stop, a black Maybach. It was Lu Chizhou. The car in front was moving at a very high speed, pressing closer step by step. It had a heroic and tragic feeling of destroying both the jade and the stone. Looking closely, the car in front still left a tiny gap that was almost imperceptible. They were all lunatics. Eugenian was even crazier. Ram into it. I don't believe he's not afraid of death. However, he underestimated the human instinct for survival. Facing two lunatics, the driver wasn't stupid enough to risk his life. The moment the two cars collided, the driver quickly stepped on the brake, turned the car around, and crashed into the green belt beside the road. The car in front stopped quickly. Lu Chizhou's eyes were blazing with anger. He climbed over as quickly as possible and pulled open the car door. After confirming that I was safe and sound, he let out a long sigh of relief. Then he carried me out and placed me down gently, taking off his coat and draping it over me. Stay here obediently and wait for me. Immediately after, Lu Chizhou dragged Eugenian out of the car and punched him one after another. He didn't say a word and poured all his anger into his fists. Eugenian had already been stabbed by me. When the car crashed into the green belt just now, he instinctively protected me in his arms. His leg was deformed due to the heavy pressure. Now he was being brutally beaten by Lu Chizhou and couldn't even make a pained groan. No, if Eugenian was beaten to death, Lu Chizhou wouldn't be able to get away with it. 18. Stop. I stopped Lu Chizhou and closed my hands, tightly wrapping his stiff fist. Lu Chizhou, we still have to go home. The driver wasn't seriously injured either. He called an ambulance immediately and sent the unconscious Eugenian to the hospital. 19. Later, it was my adoptive mother who came forward to talk to me. after Eugenian woke up from the hospital. He was sent away by my adoptive mother on the grounds that he had a mental disorder and needed treatment. As for where he went, I didn't know, and I wasn't interested in knowing either. When Eugenian was unconscious, I made a backup of everything I secretly recorded in the car and sent it to my adoptive mother. After she received it, she reached a deal with me immediately. If this thing was exposed, Eugenian's crimes would be confirmed. Moreover, bullying an adopted sister wasn't a good reputation. Eugenian, this lunatic, might not care about the reputation of the Yu family, but my adoptive parents wouldn't just watch their lifelong efforts be wasted. Of course, Lu Qizhou had also played a part in this. He got a copy of Eugenian's criminal evidence and sent it to my adoptive father. The two old people knew exactly what to do. 3 months after Eugenian was secretly sent away, the Yu family was set up by someone. And there was a major economic crisis due to the breakage of the capital chain. They had to face the situation of being acquired. The acquirer was surnamed Lu, 20. The two little guys ate until their bellies were round and lay in their respective dens dozing off. I snuggled up against Lu Qizhou and reached out to poke his waist. Qizhou, when did you collect the evidence? Lu Qizhou was angry and ignored me. He was angry that I deliberately got close to Eugenian even though I knew he had ill intentions. That day, I saw Eugenian's car nearby, so I deliberately sent Lu Qizhou away. Don't be angry. If I had told you in advance, you definitely wouldn't have agreed. Did you think about me at that time? It's really hard to coax my husband when he's angry. I put on a flattering smile and hung around Lu Qizhou's neck, acting coquettishly. Of course I thought about you. How did you think about me? I was thinking about what delicious food my husband would cook for me at night. Lu Qizhou was furious. He hugged my waist tightly and rested his head on my shoulder. The coolness turned into a string from a dot and gradually wet my shoulder bit by bit. The strength of his arm gradually increased, and I was hugged so tightly that I could hardly breathe. It hurts. Do you know how scared I was at that time? Lu Qizhou choked up, and his body trembled slightly. What if I never see you again? Chen Sini, why do you always leave me behind? I won't leave him behind. If Eugenian hadn't let me come back, then that audio would have rushed to all major news platforms the first moment. At that time, the whole Yu family would have suffered. Be good, I'm back, aren't I? I had a weapon with me. I comforted Lu Qizhou and reached out to rub his fluffy head. The sobbing in my arms became even hoarser. What if he hides you away again secretly? What should I do? I can't find you. What should I do? 21. Silly, Lu Qizhou. If you cry again, I'm going to kiss you. Lu Qizhou moved his head away from my shoulder. His eyes were red, like a delicate little rabbit. It made people want to bully him. You're a liar. I'm not a liar. I licked my lips and leaned in. It was sweet and soft. 22 Extra Chapter Lu Qizhou. I've always liked Chen Sini. Everyone laughed at me for being an illegitimate child. I had no family and no friends. The servants of the Lu family tried every means to torture me behind my back. Only Chen Sini would notice me. 5-year-old Chen Sini clutched a bag of small cookies and stuffed them into my arms. Before that, I had never eaten cookies. When I was extremely hungry, I could only secretly hide in the kitchen and eat the leftovers. That bag of cookies was in the shape of small animals. It smelled delicious. Even though my stomach was growling with hunger, I couldn't bear to eat them. Chen Sini put her hands on her hips and ordered me. Lu Qizhou, if you don't eat the cookies obediently, I'll kiss you. Liar, definitely a liar. I didn't eat the cookies, and Chen Sini didn't kiss me either. Later, she changed her words and said, if you eat the cookies obediently, I'll kiss you. Still a liar. Chen Sini was different from me. Although she was an adopted daughter, she had adoptive parents who loved her and an elder brother who doted on her. In the Yu family, she could act willfully because no matter what happened, Eugenian would take care of it for her. On the night of her 18th birthday, Chen Sini blinked her bright eyes and looked at Eugenian in the distance passionately. She told me that she liked Eugenian. Eugenian also liked her. There was a dull pain faint in my heart. I thought that as long as Chen Sini was happy, that would be enough. But suddenly one day, I couldn't find her anymore. My world fell into darkness. I questioned Eugenian, but he just avoided the topic. Not long after, the news of Chen Sini's death came. I lost her forever. If only I had been braver back then. I hid in the apartment where Chen Sini had lived before. Every inch of it had her presence. Many times, I had the illusion that I could see Chen Sini by my side again. I swore countless times that if I had another chance, I would definitely protect Chen Sini well. Fortunately, I really was reborn. I was reborn in the year I turned 18. This time, I used all means to gradually gain a position in the Liu family. The man's cold eyebrows drooped, tinged with a bit of desolation. It didn't take much effort for me to deal with the Liu family. After all, in my previous life, I spent a full 3 years on this matter. After my death, no one in the Liu family ended up well. It would be the same in this life. 23. But Chinsini still saw me as the self-abased and cowardly me from the previous life. She still enjoyed the sense of accomplishment of protecting me. I had to pretend. As long as she was happy, that was fine. Several times I almost couldn't keep up the pretense. Fortunately, she didn't notice. That day in the hospital, Chinsini reached out to me. I couldn't hold back anymore and hugged her. She said, "Husband, hug me." I secretly responded in my heart, "I miss you so much." Story 2. It seems my sister was also reborn, in her previous life. She was madly in love with the prince of the capital's elite circle. They skipped classes, got into fights, and raced cars. Ultimately, she died for him in a torrential rainstorm, and she blamed it all on me. After being reborn, she suggested to our parents that I be transferred to the worst class, where the prince was. Sister, this time it's your turn to be bullied and suffer a tormented romance with him. I just laughed. Reborn. Yet her mind hasn't been reset. She could live 100 more times and still would not be a match for me. 01. In my past life, I was lured back home under the guise of a family banquet by my adoptive parents and beaten to death. Right before I died, their ferocious faces were still before my eyes. "We only raised you for Fanqing. Now that she's gone, what value is there in your life?" My head was struck hard with a baseball bat, blood flowed, blurring my vision. I suddenly opened my eyes from the darkness. The exceptionally clear scene before me left me stunned for a couple of seconds. The familiar interior bathed in bright sunlight, my adoptive mother and sister sitting in front of me. Soon, I heard my adoptive mother's anxious voice, "Fanqing, what on earth is going on? Your teacher called, saying you want to switch classes, to the worst class in the grade." My sister, Liu Fanqing, slowly lifted her head with a delay. "Switch classes. Switch classes." She blinked, as if she had just realized something. Her gaze shifted around, then she pointed at me. "Mom, the teacher made a mistake. I meant to say switch classes for my sister. There are so many poor students in class 13, and my sister has always been keen to help others. She would surely be happy to help them, right?" In her past life, Liu Fanqing fell in love with Zhou Jinnan, the prince of the capital's elite circle, at first sight, just 2 months after school started. She was crying and begging to be transferred to his class, class 13, which was the worst in the entire grade. Our adoptive mother, who always pampered her, couldn't stand her pestering and agreed. As a result, she and Zhou Jinnan were entangled for 7 years. In the end, she even died in a drunk driving incident during a storm, and in my past life, I barely had any interaction with Zhou Jinnan, having only spoken a few words during a few encounters after graduation. Yet Liu Fanqing saw me as a thorn in her side. She stubbornly believed that Zhou Jinnan's on-off relationship with her was because he had me, his unattainable love, in his heart. Now, seeing the malice and hatred in her eyes fixed on me, I suddenly realized Liu Fanqing was reborn too. 02. Hearing her say this, our adoptive mother turned to look at me. "Fanqing is right. I'll go to the school today and arrange the transfer for you." Her tone left no room for doubt. I knew. Although out of gratitude to my father, the Liu couple had adopted me, they had always treated me as a servant for Liu Fanqing, never truly as their daughter. In my past life, when Liu Fanqing cried and begged to switch classes, our adoptive mother, concerned, initially wanted me to follow her, but Liu Fanqing strictly refused. Our adoptive mother then dropped the matter. Later, Liu Fanqing triumphantly bragged to me, "Don't think I don't know, during your violin competition, Zhou Jinnan skipped class to watch. Did you think I would give you a chance to be with him day and night?" I looked at her foolish expression and said nothing. Zhou Jinnan coming to my violin competition, what a joke. He probably didn't even know how many strings a violin has. That rumor was something I indirectly spread, just to keep Liu Fanqing from dragging me down with her. But now, since she's reborn, I might as well play a different game with her. That night, Liu Fanqing entered my room silently. In this house, my room doesn't have a lock, because I'm not allowed any privacy. She stood by my bed, her cold and resentful gaze scrutinizing me. Then, she suddenly burst into laughter. "Sister, now it's your turn to be bullied by him, to be deeply involved in a tormenting love." I'm not sure if she had tipped him off beforehand. The next day, as soon as I walked into class 13 with my backpack, a book was thrown at me. I slightly tilted my head and dodged it. The next second, a lazy voice came from not far ahead. Who allowed you to dodge? Zhou Jinan was lounging on his chair, legs crossed on the desk, looking at me arrogantly. Forget it, I'll give you a chance. Pick up the book, hand it to me respectfully, and let me throw it again. Then, I'll let you off for the morning. Hearing this, my eyelashes fluttered. I bent down, picked up the book from the floor, and walked step by step towards him. Several of Zhou Jinan's buddies were standing by his side. Looking at me with disdain and undisguised malice, I smiled and asked, "Is this how you throw it?" While speaking, I fiercely slammed the hardest part of the book's spine onto his nose. Ah! Zhou Jinan jumped up from his chair, covering his nose, which was now bleeding profusely. He suddenly flashed a sinister smile at me. "You bitch, daring to hit me, you're done for." His buddies around him looked unfriendly and were about to close in on me. Fortunately, at that moment, the teacher entered the classroom. "This is Lu Suiyan, our new transfer student and the second highest scorer on the entrance exam. I hope everyone gets along well and learns from Lu Suiyan." "Oh, a top student," Zhou Jinan sneered. "Don't worry, teacher, we will definitely get along peacefully with classmate Lu." The ways he bullied me were no different from those cliched plots in novels, just the usual. Putting thumbtacks on my chair, throwing dead snakes and rats in my drawer. I would remove the tacks, and I would emotionlessly pick up the dead snakes and rats and toss them into Zhou Jinan's lap, which actually turned his face pale with fright. After realizing that these tactics were ineffective against me, he resorted to the simplest form of violence. That afternoon after school, I opened my math workbook and found a small note inside. "They are going to take you to the equipment room." I stared at the note for a few seconds, then crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. I wonder who wrote it. In my past life, I heard that class 13 was full of underachievers, but in this life, after observing since I transferred here, I realized that's not the case. The students in class 13 were subtly divided into two groups. Aside from Zhou Jinan and his few domineering cronies, the rest were mostly students from poor families or those facing various difficulties. Their space for survival and learning was squeezed to the minimum by the prince and his followers. My gaze swept over the few scattered students in the classroom. Finally, a girl named Su Xiang, sitting diagonally behind Zhou Jinan, frantically avoided my gaze. I understood then, but pretended not to know and stood up with my backpack. "Hey, Lu Suiyan." She hesitated for a long time but still called out to me, "Let us walk with you after school." She and a few girls beside her mustered their courage and looked at me. I silently met their timid yet brave gazes for a moment, then suddenly, I cracked a smile. "It's okay, don't get yourselves involved." As soon as I stepped out of the classroom, Zhou Jinan, accompanied by a few of his friends, shoved me into the equipment room in the corner of the playground. There, I saw a face I knew all too well, Lu Fanqing. Zhou Jinan stood beside her, nodding at me with his chin. "Is this your sister who takes advantage of her connections to your family to throw her weight around at home?" "Yes," Lu Fanqing responded indifferently, "but you shouldn't bully her like this. I don't want to become someone like her." Her stance was stubborn and proud, a stark contrast to how she had pleaded with Zhou Jinan not to break up with her in a past life. Having lived again, she knew well that Zhou Jinan, that despicable person, preferred those who ignored him, as expected. Seeing her act this way only made Zhou Jinan more sympathetic towards her. Lu Fanqing took a deep breath and then pretended to coax. "Moreover, my sister has spent so many years learning the violin, her hands are her most precious asset. The more precious something is, the more satisfying it is to see it destroyed, right?" Zhou Jinan sneered, gesturing to his friends holding me down. "Today, right here. Let's break her fingers one by one. I want to ensure she can never play the violin again." Hearing Zhou Jinan say this, a look of sheer pleasure almost spilled uncontrollably from Lu Fanqing's eyes. They forcefully pushed me next to the parallel bars and picked up a heavy dumbbell from the ground. Just as they were about to strike, I suddenly spoke up. "Idiots, what did you say?" Zhou Jinan asked. I looked at him with a smirk. "If I were you, I wouldn't choose to stir up such foolish trouble at school during such a critical period for the Zhou family's share distribution." His pupils suddenly narrowed. I silently counted down in my mind. 3, 2, 1. The door to the equipment room was kicked open fiercely. However, the people who entered were not the ones I had arranged. I turned in surprise to see several girls standing at the door. I thought the courageous question they asked in the classroom earlier was the limit of what they could do. But it wasn't. Su Xiang took a deep breath, steadied the arm of the girl next to her, and raised her old, battered cell phone. Her voice trembled but was filled with resolve. I've already called the police. The deadly silence lasted only a few seconds. Zhou Jinnan couldn't help but burst out laughing. You're Su Xiang, right? It seems the lesson I taught you before wasn't enough, and now you dare to stand up for justice again. Call the police. Do you not know who I am? Do you think the police can touch me? Under his scornful gaze, Su Xiang's face turned paler and paler. However, at that moment, a commanding female voice came from outside the door. The police can't handle you, but can I? A woman in a deep blue silk dress stepped in, her high heels clicking on the floor. Zhou Jinnan, haven't I told you that we are in a critical period at home and you should avoid trouble? Seeing her, Zhou Jinnan's arrogant demeanor vanished instantly. Sister. Zhou Jinwei crossed her arms and looked at him coldly. Let her go, and come home. Grinding his teeth reluctantly, Zhou Jinnan said, but sister, it was her who started it. No matter what it is, you need to be smart about how and when you do things. I'm stopping you now, but that doesn't mean I will always stop you in the future. Indeed, it was Zhou Jinwei whom an anonymous letter of mine had summoned. Last month, the old patriarch of the Zhou family passed away. The younger generation has been fighting fiercely over the inheritance of his shares. At such a time, any little leverage could serve as a pretext to exploit. Zhou Jinwei would never allow her younger brother to ruin her major plans, nor would she willingly let herself be used by me. Before leaving, Zhou Jinwei glanced at me emotionlessly, as if looking at an insignificant ant by the roadside. The meaning behind her gaze was clear. Once the turmoil within the Zhou family subsides, Zhou Jinnan can deal with me however he wishes. I met her gaze and silently mouthed, see you next time. Lu Fanqing stared at me intently for a moment, then suddenly burst into laughter. Zhou Jinwei actually showing up here. I get it now, you've come back too. She gave me a smug and provocative look, but what's the use? Now, I'm Zhou Jinnan's beloved, and you're the one being bullied. Once the Zhou family's internal issues are resolved, I'll see who can save you then. She left with her head held high. It was just me and Su Xiang left in the equipment room. Lu Suiyan, since you're okay, we'll be leaving first. She clutched her peeling old phone and managed a strained smile at me. Wait, I stopped her. The exam papers were distributed today. Don't you have any questions you'd like to ask me? Su Xiang paused mid-step, looking at me incredulously. It's not just you. If other students from class 13 have questions, they can ask me too. I smiled and put my arm around their shoulders. We're all part of one team. We should unite and progress together, shouldn't we? In this era, it's rare for a phoenix to rise from a humble background. More often, there are ordinary people like Su Xiang, who come from poor families and whose academic performance isn't outstanding. For them, just surviving is already a full effort. Yet they still have to endure the oppression and humiliation from people like Zhou Jinnan. But why should they? In the dim equipment room, I met the eyes of a few girls, which gradually brightened like stars in the night. I looked at them and said clearly, this world, after all, belongs to us ordinary people. The next day, Zhou Jinnan didn't come to school. I knew the internal strife in the Zhou family had escalated. He simply had no time for school, so I naturally took over the self-study class for class 13. The self-study sessions and after-school time, usually dominated by Zhou Jinnan and his lackeys, disrupting everyone's focus, turned into extra study sessions for everyone. In both my past and present life, I put extra effort into studying. I stayed up late, compiled a set of key practice problems, printed them, and distributed them to everyone. They worked hard on these problems, noting down any they couldn't solve, which we then discussed together the next day. During this period, Zhou Jinnan's ignorant lackeys still tried to cause trouble. They laughed as they splashed paint on my blackboard and then provocatively watched me. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because Brother Nan isn't here. The day he returns will be your doom. At my signal, Su Xiang's deskmate, a girl named Zhao Jia, silently closed the classroom doors. Then everyone stood up and slowly surrounded them. It seems you haven't grasped the situation. I lifted my water cup and fiercely smashed it on the face of the lead lackey. Before that, it's possible your doomsday might come even sooner. When the second month's exam results were released, the entire grade was astounded. For the first time, class 13, which had always been at the bottom, soared to third place in average scores. 2 seats among the top 10 rankings in the grade were occupied by our class. The school leaders quickly caught wind of this and made a special trip to class 13's classroom to inquire about the situation. Su Xiang responded to them, it's all thanks to our class committee leader, Lu Suan. She has been tutoring all of us privately. Lu Suan, the foster daughter of the Lu family. I remember she was originally the second highest scorer in the entrance exam, right? She ranked first in the grade this time. Who placed her in class 13? It seems some school leaders still remember me. They asked Su Xiang, where is she now? On this day, the internal strife within the Zhou family had just settled, and Zhou Jinan returned to school. As expected, he and his group ambushed me on my way to school. In the dark alley outside the school gate, Zhou Jinan kicked over a trash can. With a sinister smile, he said, Lu Suan, didn't I tell you that you'd be done for once I returned? Lu Fanqing, standing by, offered a lukewarm piece of advice. Don't go too far, it won't end well if this gets too big. Don't worry, Zhou Jinan sneered coldly, this time, my sister won't come to save her. He and a few of his lackeys who I had previously fought gradually closed in on me. I heard you ranked first in the grade this time. The hands that can solve problems and play the piano will surely cry miserably when they're crippled, won't they? They forcefully surrounded me, grabbed my wrist, and were about to slam me against the rough wall. When the school leaders, following Su Xiang, found me, they witnessed this scene. Stop! Under the stern rebuke of the head of discipline, Zhou Jinan's lackeys instinctively shuddered and let go. What are you doing here during school hours? Before Zhou Jinan could speak, I took the initiative. Teacher, they said they were going to cripple my hands. In the large conference room of the administration building, Zhou Jinan and his gang stood lazily, looking completely unconcerned. The principal coughed lightly. We have already understood the ins and outs of this incident. Indeed, what Zhou did was wrong, but fortunately, we arrived in time, and no serious consequences occurred. Let's all take a step back, and let this matter pass. The attitude was clearly one of playing down the issue. I smiled and said, is that so? Then I request Zhou Jinan to apologize to me. That's not too much to ask, is it? Apologize to you, Zhou Jinan, as if he'd heard a great joke. Said, do you deserve it? I'm not without surveillance. If that's the case, then let's involve the police. The tension between him and me was palpable, neither willing to back down. One was a so-called prince from a wealthy and powerful family, the other was a top student who not only excelled herself but also led her classmates to improve. Making this a police matter would tarnish the school's reputation. The principal, unable to afford offending either side openly, could only have a teacher pull me aside to persuade me. Lu Suan, we know you feel wronged, and it was negligent of the school not to stand up for you before. The school will award you a special scholarship for this academic year and will take further steps to strengthen management so that no student in class 13 will suffer again. Is that acceptable? I couldn't help but smile. So the school knows that students in class 13 have a hard time. The teacher's face immediately showed embarrassment. I admired her speechlessness for a few seconds, then continued, since the teacher has said so, let's do it this way. Additionally, I'd like this money to be awarded under a different name, to reward every student in class 13 who has made significant progress, except for the prince and his followers. The school acted quickly and soon distributed scholarships to the students of class 13 in the name of rewarding collective progress. The news spread around the class, creating a big stir among Su Xiang, Zhao Jia, and the others. I don't want this money. Su Xiang looked at me, her eyes red. He should have apologized and admitted his wrongs. If we had been even a minute late, your hand, we wouldn't have been late. I had calculated the timing for school and the honor roll announcement perfectly, I said. Besides, even if you hadn't come, they probably couldn't have done much to me. People who live in luxury are most afraid of a do-or-die situation. Zhao Jia, the girl who had also made it into the top 10 of our grade with me this time, she didn't say a word, just handed me her bank card. I pushed it back to her. I don't need this money. I can easily earn it back by writing some code for college students' course projects. Also, you guys shouldn't feel pressured. A flimsy apology is worthless. He wasn't truly remorseful, so what's the point? Only tangible benefits really count. With less than 6 months left until the college entrance exams, for these girls from poor families, material gifts can help them focus more on their studies. In my previous life, I remember, after the college entrance exam results were released, very few from class 13 managed to get into a university. Everyone became just a backdrop to the tumultuous love-hate relationship between Lu Fanqing and Zhou Jinan. Even 2 girls who had angered Zhou Jinan while he was in a bad mood from arguing with Lu Fanqing, were beaten up by his gang and ended up in the hospital, missing that year's college entrance exam. I think perhaps my rebirth wasn't just because of my death. but to help more people change their destinies. But after this incident, Zhou Jinan must hate you even more, right? Zhao Jia held the bank card, silent for a while, worriedly said. And your sister, she's clearly been involved in these major incidents. I know, they won't let this go easily. I smiled and ruffled her messy short hair. But let me handle these issues, you just focus on your studies. That day in the equipment room, you saved me once. I also want to save you once. That night, I unusually dreamt of my past life. After the college entrance exams, I moved out of the Lu family's house, later, spending all my time in the lab and the library. I rarely went back, until my second year of graduate studies. When I attended an academic conference with my advisor, I ran into Zhou Jinan. He chatted with me under the pretext of being an old high school classmate, out of a motive to attract sponsors for my project. I discussed the prospects of my ongoing project with him. The next day, Lu Fanqing came to me, crying and yelling, her face full of hatred. She cursed me, you whore, why do you have to be the one he can't forget, his pure moonlight? Is it just because of your pretty face? Who knows what tricks you've used, even doing research? Maybe even your advisor was seduced by you. I bit into my sandwich, expressionless, and raised my hand. Security. 2 security guards appeared immediately. This lady seems to have some mental issues. Please handle it. After she was taken away crying and cursing, my foster mother called me over 10 times that day. I didn't answer any, told my senior about it, and moved into the research institute. Immersing myself in the lab, only when the project was temporarily paused did I learn that Lu Fanqing had an accident. My foster mother tricked me into returning home under the pretext of the last family banquet after Lu Fanqing's death. Then she and my foster father killed me. I suddenly opened my eyes. Moonlight streamed into the room, casting everything in silvery white. The pain from my skull being cracked by a baseball bat seemed to linger in my body. I gazed at the crescent moon for a moment. A slight smile pulling at the corners of my lips. There won't be a next time. After the school intervened, Zhou Jinan finally stopped bullying his classmates so openly. Meanwhile, he and Lu Fanqing grew increasingly close. In this life, Lu Fanqing fully played her part, managing Zhou Jinan with a tight grip. I don't know what she told him, but Zhou Jinan's looks towards me grew more hostile by the day, brimming with barely concealed malice. He no longer targeted other classmates, as all his hatred seemed to be poured onto me. Soon, it was the day of the college entrance exam. Due to registration issues, Lu Fanqing and I were not in the same examination room. Early in the morning, Lu Fanqing made a fuss about having both her foster parents take her there. It's my first time facing such an important test, and I'm really nervous. I want both mom and dad to be with me, holding a cup of milk. She smiled innocently and naively. Besides, my sister's exam site isn't far away. She's always been independent, she can go on her own. When I left the house, the first rays of dawn broke through the clouds. As I turned into a secluded alley, the sky darkened. The next second, the roar of a powerful engine grew from a distance. A fiery red sports car screeched to a halt in front of me. Zhou Jinan stepped out of the car with an underling, smiling at me. Third time's the charm, caught you again. All these years you've exploited your advantages and bullied Fanqing. Do you think you can still go and take the exam in peace today? I tightened the straps of my backpack and looked at him expressionlessly. Zhou Jinan, today is also your college entrance exam day. College entrance exam. He laughed heartily. You still need an exam to dream about changing your fate. I was born at a height you could never reach. I could get into the best schools without even taking the exam. Do you think I'm like you? Aren't you skilled at scheming and manipulating? Come on, let's see what else you can do now. Who can you call for help? Oh, out of tricks, everyone else is off taking their exams. No one's coming to save you. A sudden sharp pain shot through my abdomen, dulling my senses for a moment. By the time I realized what happened, he had already kicked me hard in the stomach, knocking me to the ground. I struggled to sit up, leaning against the wall trying to stand. He stepped towards me, looking down from above. I've had enough, you lowlife. You only deserve to be a dog to me your whole life. Who allowed you to resist? This time, no one else needs to get involved. I'll personally break each of your fingers. He bent down to grab my wrist. Quickly, I grabbed his hair and slammed his head against the wall behind me. Ah! Amidst Zhou Jinan's agonizing scream, his underling rushed over and pushed me hard against the wall. My shoulder hit the wall with such force, I almost heard my bones crack. A piercing pain surged through me, and I whispered to myself, not enough. I then rubbed my forearm against the rough surface of the wall. Blood gushed forth. Zhou Jinnan, curled up on the ground in pain, was helped up just in time to witness this scene. He stood frozen. "What are you doing?" As the sunlight slowly shifted westward, illuminating the path, the last bits of shadow were chased away. Supporting my slightly fractured left arm, I spread the flowing blood bit by bit. The shallow wound tore open a little more, and blood dripped down, spreading a shocking stain across my skirt. "Young master, during your 3 years in school, he bullied his classmates all day and never seriously studied." I suppressed my slightly rapid breathing from the pain and lifted my eyes to look at him. "So this line, originally from a textbook, I will now teach you. A common man's rage spills blood within 5 steps, and the world turns pale. I wondered if you were smart enough not to choose today to make your move. But sadly, like Lu Fanqing, you're beyond help." The wind blew hot over my exposed wounds on my arm, making the pain sharper, yet it only made me laugh more heartily. "Being born so high up, what of it? Can you guarantee you'll always remain on top?" In that moment, 2 journalists carrying cameras appeared at the entrance of the alley. The flashlights began to go off, aimed at the surveillance camera at the entrance that had been tampered with beforehand, aimed at my white skirt, now stained and splotched, aimed at my mangled arm, aimed at the tears falling from my bloodshot eyes. "What is this?" It was only then that Zhou Jinnan realized he had been set up by me. "I am a member of the Zhou family, here to settle a personal score," he said coldly. "If you want to continue in this line, better stay away from me." Hearing this, the journalists put away their cameras. Zhou Jinnan thought his threat had worked and gave me a sinister smile, but the next second, they moved even closer. "Young master, there are always those who aren't afraid of you. Have you been so coddled up high that you've failed to realize this?" The female journalist carefully avoided my injured left arm, took my other hand and said, "Let's go." I got into the car with the 2 journalists who had been contacted in advance. Speeding away, Zhou Jinnan's car followed relentlessly behind. The timing was tight. The candidates had already entered the examination hall. Now, outside the main gate, it was crowded with parents who had come to drop off their children, and there were also many journalists who had come early in the morning to capture some material on the college entrance examination. Our car screeched to a halt in front of them. At that moment, everyone was shocked to see me push open the car door, bloodied, and stumble out. "Zhou Jinnan," I said, word by word, to the fiery red sports car behind me, "even if you are a member of the Zhou family, the so-called prince of the capital, what right do you have to stop me from taking my exam? Don't say you broke my arm. Even if I'm left with just a breath, I will crawl in today to submit my answers. Or you might as well kill me right here." He rushed out of his car, propped himself on the door, and looked at me, shocked and furious. From the reflection in his pupils, I saw my current state: hair disheveled, body wounded, utterly disheveled, yet the blood-stained skirt fluttered like a flag in the wind. "What, scared?" I curved my lips into a smile, shifting my gaze from the police cars speeding towards us to him, revealing a challenging smirk. "Now, I'm going to take my exam." In the unbearable heat of June, I sat again in an examination hall without even an air conditioner. The sweat soaking my arm wound made the pain sharper, yet it made my mind even clearer and more alert. After the first day's 2 exams, I went to the hospital for a quick treatment of my wounds. Su Xiang stayed with me. She was always timid and gentle, but this time, she didn't shed a single tear. "Will it leave a scar?" I looked down. The doctor was using tiny tweezers to remove grains of sand from the wound one by one. "It might," I replied, "but it doesn't matter much, as it's only a superficial flesh wound. It just looks scary," I said with a squinted smile. "That's the crown prince for you. Making a big fuss always comes with a price." After treating my wounds, I didn't return to the Liu family that night. Instead, I stayed at a small inn near the examination site. No matter in my past life or this one, the exam was never too challenging for me, especially since I retained the complete memories from my previous life. The knowledge I had acquired and the scientific achievements I had made were firmly etched in my mind, becoming an irreplaceable treasure, something that Lu Fanqing, no matter how many times reborn, would never possess. After the last exam ended, I went straight to the hospital. Lying in the hospital bed, I took out my phone and unsurprisingly saw my name trending online. #3 mock exams topped but almost missed the college entrance exam. #Zhou Jinnan I am from the Zhou family. #Lu Suiyan so handsome. Before the exam started, the scene where I confronted Zhou Jinnan outside the venue, bloodied, was the top trending topic. My God, She still came to take the college entrance exam in that condition. She's the top student in her grade, she's been bullied by Zhou all through school. And if she couldn't attend the college entrance exam, all 3 years of her effort would have been in vain. Isn't anyone going to investigate the Zhou family? They are completely lawless. I turned off my phone and looked at the 2 people in front of my hospital bed. Su Xiong skillfully peeled an apple with a small knife. Zhao Jia sat across from me. Everyone wanted to come and see you, but they were afraid of disturbing your rest, so they sent just the 2 of us. It's nothing serious. I'll be out of the hospital tomorrow. I moved my shoulder and left arm, both in casts, and smiled at her. How did you do on the exam? Think you can beat me? Who wants to surpass you? She said quietly, looking at me. How could you be sure those 2 reporters would help you? She asked. It wasn't surprising that she would ask such a question. Zhao Jia was the quietest yet most perceptive person in class 13, that day. My chase with Zhou Jinnan to the examination site was witnessed by all the reporters and parents. However, very few actually reported on it. No one wanted to risk offending the Zhou family to help someone who was bloody and might not even be able to finish the exam. But those 2 young and brave female reporters were different. Because brave people will always be brave, righteous people are forever righteous. In a past life, a major incident had occurred at the school next to ours. A professor had falsified academic work for years, embezzling hundreds of millions in funds, but was reported by the dozens of students he had supervised. Leading the charge were 2 young and brave female reporters, Su Nan and Lu Yan. In this life, when I contacted them, they were still interns. After hearing my plan to escalate the situation, they were puzzled. If you knew what he was planning, you could have avoided the danger altogether. There's no need to risk yourself, Su Nan said over the phone, clearly confused. Because I don't want to just avoid him this time, I said, looking down at the butterfly knife I was fiddling with in my hands, and chuckled lightly. It's not just me he's bullied, and not just my class. If we are going to cause a stir, let's make it big. The public uproar lasted more than half a month, peaking the moment the college entrance examination results were released. This time, my score was nearly 20 points higher than in my previous life, earning me the title of provincial top scorer. My value increased layer by layer, forcing the Zhou family to send someone with more authority to negotiate with me. My foster parents called, repeatedly insisting I must return to the Lu family for a visit. The moment I pushed open the door and saw Zhou Jinwei, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Miss Zhou, I told you the other day that we would meet again. She looked at me, anger swirling in her beautiful eyes for a moment before being replaced by her well-mannered composure. Lu Suiyan, just state your terms. Pretending to be oblivious, I asked, what terms? My foster father suddenly slammed the table. Don't play dumb, Lu Suiyan, take what you can get. It was clear without thinking that the Lu family must have already reached some agreement with the Zhou family. My foster mother also looked at me coldly. You came to our family when you were 10, we've raised you for so many years. Do you really intend to repay kindness with ingratitude? Kindness? I laughed as if I had heard some absurd joke. You adopted me because my father, a distant relative of the Lu family, died trying to save you. You were worried about being labeled ungrateful, so you picked me up from the orphanage. A life for 8 years of servitude in the Lu family, and now it turns out I owe you. Losing patience, I stood up from the couch. I went to the bedroom, packed my documents, and grabbed my violin case. As I was leaving, Zhou Jinwei was still sitting in the same spot. Her gaze towards me was filled with undisguised loathing. It was the kind of malevolence that a superior feels towards an inferior who dares to offend her. Wishing she could swiftly put an end to it, I smiled. Miss, you must have guessed before coming today that I wouldn't agree to a settlement, right? I just wanted to see if you were as foolish as I imagined. She stood up, wearing high heels. She towered over me, exuding a powerful presence. Her eyes looked down on me coldly. It seems you really are. These so-called righteous rages, you don't really believe in them, do you? She tugged at the corner of her mouth, revealing a chilling smile. See for yourself if you can bear the consequences of offending the Zhou family. This matter eventually ended with the Zhou family paying a heavy price to suppress public opinion, to avoid the limelight. Zhou Jinnan was sent abroad to study. Meanwhile, I returned to school with all my classmates from class 13, to receive our due honors. This year in the college entrance examination, class 13, originally the lowest performing class, all passed the undergraduate admission line without exception. Zhao Jia scored 692 points and was admitted to the top university next to mine. The principal, His cheeks flushed with excitement, shook my hand vigorously. Saying he would reward me with a significant scholarship, I smiled and said, "Principal, you must also be aware of what happened outside the exam hall, right?" He froze on the spot. "Rather than a scholarship, I hope the school will handle things fairly from now on and strengthen its management. At least after this, there shouldn't be another Zhou Jinan who treats human life lightly." He laughed dryly a couple of times. I knew that after the chaos on the day of the college entrance exam, the Education Bureau had already sent people to investigate several previous bullying incidents. Given their level of concern, there would at least be a fair and just learning environment here for many years to come. Leaving school, I bumped into Lu Fanqing. Her gaze towards me carried even deeper hatred than before. "Lu Suan, how dare you? How could you?" She glared at me, teeth clenched, as if she wanted to bore holes into me. "Do you think you can turn things around by living again? Daring to offend the Zhou family, you might not even know how you'll die one day. There's no need for you to worry about this." I curved my lips slightly, yet there was not a hint of a smile in my eyes. "Or, you could try testing this out on the Zhou family first. To take my life, what price must you pay?" In September, I enrolled at Tsinghua School of Optoelectronics, due to the residual attention from a previous public controversy. Every move I made was under the watchful eyes of countless people. This attention not only ensured my temporary safety within the Zhou family's sphere of influence but also allowed me to quickly connect with a mentor from my past life. "Professor Tan, I would like to choose you as my mentor for this year's International Collegiate Hardware Programming Competition." She scrutinized me for a moment, her gaze softening behind her glasses. "I know you. You're the student who dared to challenge the Zhou family. After indisputably winning the gold medal in the competition, I chose a moment when no one else was around to hand over my research on a chip, which was years ahead of its current development, to my mentor first. This project is currently in a state of absolute secrecy." In the empty office, she examined me intently. "And you are just a freshman, Lu Suan. I need an explanation. You could consider that I have an exceptional talent. Or maybe, I didn't drink Mangpo soup in my past life." I smiled. "I understand your doubts. You are free to verify the experimental data and results I have submitted, and you can investigate my background as you wish. I just want to do everything I can. After all, in this era where technology around the world is advancing rapidly, the significance of leading in a certain technology by even a few years is something you are more aware of than I am." My mentor has always been a cautious and thorough person. I knew she would really investigate, so I patiently waited. About a week later, she invited me to her home. The first question she asked me was the same one Zhao Jia asked me in the hospital room. "How did you know that these two reporters would definitely help you?" But there was a difference. You didn't contact anyone else, you went directly to them, without trial and error. It meant that from the beginning, you were certain of how they would act. You didn't even go through great lengths to find their contact information, and even earlier, you had sent an anonymous letter to the Zhou family. In the quiet room with the curtains drawn, I faced her with a calm expression. "When I was very young, my mother passed away from illness, and after my father died, I was fostered by the Lu family. For a long time, I didn't know what love and tolerance from elders felt like. Until I met my mentor in my previous life. Then, busy with a paper due to be published, I spent 3 days in the lab, my eyes red from lack of sleep. During a dinner with my mentor, still crunching data in my head, I was suddenly brought back to reality when she tapped my head with her chopstick. "People might think I'm overworking you if you're so distracted even during dinner." I snapped back to the moment. She playfully pinched my cheek. "Why not smile more? You're so young. Yet you look more serious than this old lady, now in this life." As she looked into my eyes, after a long while, she suddenly spoke. "When I'm not doing research, I occasionally read some novels about time travel and rebirth, though they're a bit fanciful. I must say, they're quite entertaining." I blinked. "Really, I don't read them much. The materials you've submitted, I will arrange for them to be verified as soon as possible, and then proceed to rationalize the development of the project." She continued. "As for after you finish your foundational courses, I will apply to the school to let you join my lab early. Is there any other difficulty?" Despite the mention of this, I no longer feel sleepy. I took a step forward, held her hand, and said sincerely, "Teacher, it really exists." With my connections facilitating introductions, I smoothly sold several large algorithm software programs I had developed. In the process, I amassed a considerable amount of funds and gained access to information channels far more extensive than before. One company even sent me an invitation to a business dinner. I attended with the intention of securing a few more deals, but unexpectedly, I ran into Lu Fanqing there. She was dressed in a pristine white outfit, with a string of smooth pearls around her neck, following behind Zhou Jinwei, enjoying the adulation of everyone around her. I remember from a past life. Her relationship with Zhou Jinnan was not accepted by his family. Zhou Jinwei particularly despised her, publicly stating multiple times that the Zhou family would never accept a girl from such a humble background. It seems that in this lifetime, she has successfully integrated into the Zhou family. I scoffed sarcastically, handed out a business card, and turned to leave, but Lu Fanqing stopped me. Lu Suiyan. I turned around, only to see her stepping away from Zhou Jinwei to approach me alone, holding a glass of wine. She put on an innocent face and said, "Since when do sisters hold grudges overnight? Instead of peddling your little things for money, why not come and ask me for help? What should I ask you for?" She suddenly laughed heartily. "I am now recognized by the Zhou family and engaged to Zhou Jinnan. What do you think you should ask me for?" As she spoke, her eyes gleamed with barely suppressed triumph. I immediately understood. She came to me specifically to gloat. In this life, she had finally achieved her desire and was accepted by the Zhou family. I was so disgusted that I didn't want to exchange another word with her. I turned and walked away, but she yelled after me in frustration, "How long do you think you can be proud? The controversy from before has long passed, and once Jinnan returns from abroad, no one will be able to save you. Lu Suiyan, I will watch with glee as you meet your end." I saw Zhou Jinnan again at an industry exchange meeting I attended with Zhao Jia. 3 years had passed since the high school entrance examination scandal. Zhao Jia and I walked together through the vast exhibition hall of the meeting. Light streamed through the dome, and she turned to me, saying, "Xiang called me this morning. She passed her interview and can start her internship next week. Everyone is really thankful. You tutored us for nearly a year, helping our whole class reach the university admission threshold. And now, using your connections, you've managed to secure internship opportunities for us all." She paused, noticing I seemed focused on adjusting a robotic arm nearby. Her voice suddenly lowered. "Sometimes I feel like this is all a dream, because that night, I dreamt it wasn't you who transferred to our class, but your sister. She was mistreated by Zhou Jinnan, didn't resist, but fell in love with him. Later, before the college entrance exams, they had a fight, and Xiang and I just happened to pass by. I abruptly turned, tapping her hand to cut her off. "It's adjusted now, come and give it a try." Zhao Jia immediately stopped speaking, smoothly operating the robotic arm to type a series of codes on the keyboard. "Stop thinking about it, you said it yourself, that was just a dream," I said. "What you're living now, that's reality, also. I didn't just push you all forward for nothing. I used so many connections because I need you all to help me with something. I told everyone, you can consider this a fair trade, not a debt you owe me." She stared at me blankly. This person has always been terse, and even now, she probably couldn't find the right words to say. I was about to remind her that it was time to leave when I suddenly heard a voice that was all too familiar. "Lu Suiyan." I paused, looking up. There, not far away. I locked eyes with Zhou Jinnan's sharp gaze. Perhaps it was the 3 years of honing abroad, but he seemed even more composed than before. His malice was restrained, greeting me with a slight smile. "Long time no see. So, it's young Master Zhou." I smiled. 3 years gone. I thought you might have died in a gunfight." His expression remained unchanged, but the hostility in his eyes intensified slightly. "You should be glad we're just in the country. Otherwise, I could claim self-defense if I pulled a gun on you right now." He probably felt quite imposing when he said that. However, just then, a robotic arm next to him rotated counterclockwise half a turn, hitting him on the back of the head. "What are you doing?" Zhou Jinnan momentarily lost his composure, glaring murderously at Zhao Jia beside me. She remained calm, quietly turning the robotic arm back. "Sorry, my hand slipped." Zhou Jinnan is an impatient man. Soon, I awaited his retaliation. That afternoon, suddenly, someone accused me and my advisor of academic fraud. The claim was, how could an undergraduate who hasn't even graduated yet create such a chip and publish 3 papers in top journals? The confrontation outside the exam hall years ago was brought up again, but this time, public opinion flipped. They said I was deliberately hyping things up, trying to craft a persona for myself. After all, she still managed to enter the exam and even topped it. How incredible is that? True, if it were just an ordinary person who had offended the Zhou family, would they still be living such a good life now? I heard she won a gold medal at the World Hardware Design Competition as soon as she entered the university. What ordinary student could do that? Her advisor must be involved too. Manipulating public opinion is a strong suit of families like the Zhous. 3 years ago, they only fell behind because I got the upper hand first. This time, they clearly wanted to solve the problem once and for all, preventing me from ever recovering. All projects my advisor and I were working on were put on hold, and the school even suspended classes to investigate, because the issue has become so heated. This is a routine investigation. When I was taken away, she comforted me. Don't be afraid, we have nothing to fear if we stand upright. I asked her, teacher, do you believe in me? She gazed at me calmly in the setting sun. If you extend the timeline of an event, stretching it back to every key point and magnify what everyone did, you'll discover some interesting things. Like playing chess, each move may not have an immediate effect, but a long time later, when everything is connected, I tapped my chin with my fingertip. You'll realize that the initial actions had purposes beyond just the immediate goals. For the next half a month, I did nothing and let public opinion ferment. I even intentionally left some loopholes, leading the Zhou family to believe that there were indeed problems with my papers and results. As if sensing blood, they attacked even more ferociously. Even Lu Fanqing came out, tearfully accusing me in front of the media. After being fostered by their Lu family for so many years, I ungratefully betrayed them, taking advantage of her role as the older sister. She bullied her sister relentlessly. After a tumultuous period, the issue had escalated to the point where it captured the national attention, and the public demanded an explanation from us. Consequently, I hosted a press conference that was broadcast live online. The journalists interviewing me were Sun An and Lu Yan. As their cameras focused on me, I flipped through the papers in my hand. These are records of the coursework designs I've been helping college students with since high school. This is a detailed explanation of my complete thought process for the development of the TW2108 chip. Here are the first, second, and final drafts of my thesis along with all the experimental data. As for whether the incident outside the college entrance examination venue years ago was a publicity stunt, please watch this video clip. The video projector was turned on, playing a brief clip from that day on the small road. The zoomed-in camera captured every detail vividly. The traffic camera that had been tampered with ahead of time, my white skirt, stained and blotched, my arm, gruesomely wounded, tears fell from my bloodshot eyes, and in the video, Zhou Jinan turned his head abruptly, his expression fierce. I am a member of the Zhou family, here to settle some personal scores. If you want to continue in this line of work, you better stay away from me. Click. The screen went dark. I composed myself and continued speaking to the camera. I know the Zhou family has always hated me, believing I should become just like every other person they'd bullied and suppressed, reduced to dust, disappearing in the sands of time, but I refuse to accept that fate. Why should your school bullying go unpunished? Why should your spreading of rumors be accepted as truth? This world does not belong to the Zhou family. It belongs to every citizen. Truth and justice will prevail eventually. Now, I am officially reporting the Zhou family for premeditated murder and for using unfair practices to monopolize the market. The large screen displayed several photos, including documents with the Zhou family seal, and numerous photos taken from hidden angles, depicting scenes of decadence. The people in these photos were all wealthy and powerful, enjoying good times with members of the Zhou family such as Zhou Jinan and Zhou Jinwei. There were even photos of Zhou Jinan meeting certain individuals abroad during his 3 years of study. Before all the evidence could be fully presented, the live broadcast was abruptly cut off, but I knew that everything I had said and shown would spread rapidly through the vast network of the internet. Sun An, Lu Yan, and I sat in the room. The studio lights shone on our faces, slightly warm. I rubbed my cheeks and smiled. I told you, I didn't want to just avoid him this time. If we're going to cause a stir, let's make it big. Back then, the internal strife within the Zhou family involved much more than just a small share of stocks. Because the stakes were so high, Zhou Jinwei personally intervened to stop Zhou Jinan's foolish actions. That day, after leaving the equipment room, she took him to a high-end private suite for club members, where they brokered a future-oriented deal. With the help of that group of people, they ultimately won the war within the Zhou family. Later, when the college entrance exam incident blew up, using the excuse of laying low, Zhou Jinwei conveniently sent Zhou Jinan abroad, facilitating easier communication and collaboration. His return was also because everything was ready. After bringing me and my mentor down, their appointed successors would take over our project and hand over the results to others. That day I asked my mentor if she believed in me. After a moment of silence, she asked, "What do you need me to do to support you?" Then, I gave her a list. With insights from 2 lifetimes, I could not only avoid many wrong approaches but also clarify issues hidden in the shadows, which had remained unresolved in my past life. Therefore, I sold the software to some companies affiliated with the Zhou enterprise and used my connections to. I helped the students from Class 13 secure internships through internal referrals. When accompanying the marketing department to social engagements, they adeptly maneuvered to snap some useful photos. By working backwards from the results, many clues emerged, making it easier to find evidence that had not been completely destroyed. The Zhou family, realizing the gravity of the situation, attempted to suppress public opinion using their old methods, but this time, they had inadvertently fueled the fire themselves. Why would I let them have their way? 28. The empire was about to fall. On a drizzly day, the Zhou family's top figures, Zhou Jinwei and Zhou Jinnan, were taken away for investigation. The Liu family, deeply involved with them and even on the verge of intermarriage, could not escape unscathed. My foster parents adored Liu Fanqing to the extreme. In my previous life, they killed me because of her death. In this life, knowing they couldn't escape, they took all the blame upon themselves, allowing Liu Fanqing to go free. Yet, aside from her life, she was left with nothing. That afternoon, as I walked out of the research institute under an umbrella, a figure suddenly lunged at me. I narrowly dodged and saw it was Liu Fanqing. She fell, sitting in the puddles, her face filled with indignation as she demanded, "Why, in your previous life, you did nothing, yet you were his cherished beloved. This life, I have become irreplaceable in his heart just like you, but why must you destroy him and the entire Zhou family? Liu Suan, you wretch, why aren't you the one who's dead?" With a slap, I struck her across the face. Dropping my umbrella, I grabbed her face in the pouring rain, articulating each word, "Because the one who should die was never me. Did I destroy the Liu family? It was clearly them who committed murder, arson, treason, and orchestrated their own downfall. What era do they think this is, harboring delusions of royal entitlement? Such notions should be buried with the remnants of feudalism. Liu Fanqing, don't you understand? You're too foolish, too short-sighted. Do you know how much can be achieved by leveraging information in a second life? It can save an entire class's future, advance our country's core technology by 5 years, remove a malignant tumor well in advance, preventing massive losses. To exaggerate a bit, it can change the entire world, while all you think about is becoming the love of a man, to have him utterly devoted to you. You're hopelessly foolish." She sat in the rain, looking up at me blankly. The rain grew heavier, washing over us, blurring the entire world. Moments later, Liu Fanqing burst into tears. 29. After the Zhou siblings were sentenced to death, they still tried to find a way to save themselves. Indeed, they managed to arrange a prison break for Zhou Jinnan on the way to the execution site. The police chased them down to the docks where Zhou Jinnan was shot over 20 times and died instantly. The Liu family's adoptive parents were sentenced to 20 years. After the news spread, Liu Fanqing committed suicide, perhaps feeling utterly destitute and unable to turn her fate around, or maybe she harbored the hope of being reborn once again, but who knows? I turned off the computer and went to wash my hands by the window. Through the window, I saw Su Xiang and Zhao Jia with the students from Class 13 standing outside the research institute, waving at me. I turned to my mentor. "I'd like to ask for leave tonight. There's a group activity." "It's not like I usually stop you from participating in activities." She glanced at me. "Go on then. Don't immerse yourself in the lab like a workaholic while you're still young." I waved at her and headed downstairs. As the elevator doors opened, the spacious lobby on the first floor was bathed in the fiery red glow of the sunset, unreservedly spread across the area. My friends were waiting for me up ahead, and my path forward was filled with light.